Well, Noel Jones, it's great to speak to you once again. Thank you for joining us again on Fully Scored.
Thank you, Matthew. It's a real honour to be here.
And it's been a little while since we spoke to you last. We did a podcast to celebrate your 80th birthday. Have you been keeping well since then?
Excellent. Yes, thank you very much.
Fantastic. It's great to hear. And we're going to be speaking about perhaps one of your most well known, most well loved from your repertoire today, Christmas Praise.
40 years since it was published. That's amazing, isn't it? That time has gone so quickly.
And still feels just as fresh now, I'm sure. So, my first question about the piece of music is, was there a particular reason for writing it, or was it just something that you sat down and it appeared?
No, my dear wife, Mary, who's up in heaven, of course, she asked me if I'd write a timbrel march. She was a timbrel leader, and she said, it's got to be a Christmas one, nice and rhythmic. So, she was a very good timbrel player, so I'm glad I was able to come up with the goods. And I thank God for the inspiration.
Fantastic. There are three main tunes used in this piece. Perhaps you could tell us what those three tunes are and why you chose those.
Yes, well, I seem to be, humming this little motive at the start. An unusual motive, but when I wrote the piece, it just simply unfolded itself. I didn't give it much thought, and I'm not a very clever fellow, as you know, but I'm sure the Lord was on my side. So that motive got me off to a good start, and that was one of the main carols in it. So does God rest you, merry gentlemen. Then we had Normandy Carol, which is Away in a Manger. That's in a minor key. A bit later on, we have that lovely carol, Away in a Manger. I think it's to the manger scene. And there's one or two snippets there that, allowed me to include.
And so the piece was first published in 1984. Was it written just before that, or was it written a few years preceding?
No, I think I would have gone pretty close to that time. Yeah.
And I guess back in those days, that's pre-Sibelius and writing things on the computer. So would you have had to actually send the original copy of the score across to Editorial?
Yes, handwritten. Yes, a lot of hard work and writing out all the parts and going down to the post office and paying about $25 to send it to London.
Crumbs. And would you ever copy it up in case it got lost on the way, or did you just send that original and trust it was going to make it?
Yes, I just put it in an envelope and gave it a kiss goodbye. And no, it's a real joy to have that march, and it's sort of seems it stood the test of time, hasn't it? Really.
Absolutely. One of everyone's favourite Christmas marches, this and Christmas Joy, certainly out there. So that's fascinating. So I think now it would be interesting perhaps if we could go through the score and look at a few different sections. So you've already talked about that opening motif, but is there anything else that you'd like to point out that we should be listening for or looking for in the introduction?
It starts off in a minor key, doesn't it? A little scholastic bit there, and then letter A, still reflecting on that motive, even in the first bar. And then after a few bars, it lent itself into Hark the Herald Angels Sing.
The Normandy Carol, would you be associating the words of Away in a Manger to that tune?
Yeah, exactly, yeah. It's thinly scored, and then the flute comes in halfway through there, about the fifth bar, and then the fun begins, I reckon. There's three quantities above that after about the ninth bar. And that seems to fit all right. I don't know whether that was luck or what, but it seems to fit okay.
Was that perhaps something that you found experimenting at the piano, or would you have sort of worked it out theoretically that they might have fit?
In those days, I did all my writing from the organ because you've got the foot pedals, the left foot can get that bass part going. And to me, that made it a lot easier for me to do. And then I'd use the two hands on, separate manuals. I found it very easy to write music that way. I haven't done it for the last 20 years, but just seemed to, my introduction to writing music was easily done by playing on the organ.
We see the classic Noel Jones soprano trill there before the repeat back. A feature in most of your marches.
Yes, it's an unusual trait I have. I'm trill happy.
Oh, it feels very festive, like a little fairy on top of the Christmas tree there.
Exactly.
So that takes us then, I guess, to section C, where we have the first full iteration of God Rest Ye Merry Gentlemen. What should we be looking out for in this section?
Well, it's more developed here at Let Us See, that particular carol. Again, it's got to be rhythmic, it's got to be spot on. Oh yeah, now this is very important. The first two bars of Let Us See, you'll notice in the cornet part, often the accidental is not carried through for the lower cornet part. If he plays a G natural, I jump out of the chair. And a lot of bands still play it that way.
And quite interesting having the glockenspiel as well, doubling the tune there.
Yes, again, I'm probably Glock happy. The more I use Glock, the more I realise it's got to be played fairly softly or using the right sticks. You know what I mean? Bashing it, pierces it, doesn't it? Just before you get to letter D, you'll notice it's in double time. So that sort of lends itself to that. Yes, at letter D, yes, I thought I'd put a bit of guesswork in here. Silent night, silent night, holy night. It's just for two bars, but a lot of people probably wouldn't even pick it up. It's got to be heavily accented, And the tambourine, I did that for Mary because she's a timbrelist, The first two bars of letter D. Is that fair enough?
Yeah, that sounds cool. I'd never spotted that Silent Night reference. So that's a revelation for when we play it this Christmas.
But in bars 3 and 4, dee, 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 da, bum, 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 an ideal way to come in on that beautiful carol, Away in a Manger. And again, this is stretched out. It's in 4/4 time. But again, it's got to be rhythmic and not too heavy here. And that builds up a bit. A few more people come in at bar 5. And when you get to bar 8, well, it's everyone in, and it's really got to be rhythmic.
And a few more references here as we go through this section to some of the carols we've had earlier.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Dee, 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 dee. And I thought, now, what do I do here? But that motive stuck in my brain, and that's what I think got the march going. Yeah. Bop, 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 bop. And the cornet's there, and the glock, and there's long, sustained semi-breves, 4-day piano notes. They've got to be done properly, don't they? When I was writing this, I didn't realise I'd do all this. It just sort of unfolded. Pure luck, if you like. Oh, Come On You Faithful, that's just for 2 bars. Now, that's hidden there. It'll take a lot to pick that up. But that's absolutely vital in terms of the joy of bringing glory to the newborn King. But somewhere or other, it came to my mind to stick that in. And again, it wouldn't be picked up too much. And then a good scale run up, and to the joy of the Christmas, hark, the herald angels sing, glory to the newborn King. So it's not a difficult march, but I think if these little references can be sort of picked out or explained, it makes it a bit more interesting, doesn't it?
Yeah, really, really.
I reckon I did that first draft in about a day. And then when I studied it, I thought, oh, goodness me, there's things here I didn't realise I was doing. But that was the Lord guiding me. I really mean that.
That's amazing. And I guess this march has been played all around the world. Is there any particular recording or performance that you really enjoy or you've been part of and stands out in your memory?
Yeah, but a lot of bands have recorded it. No one sticks out. The ISB do an excellent job on anything, of course.
Fantastic. And will you be out carolling with Ringwood Band this Christmas?
Yes, I certainly will. Well, we do a bit of street caroling, of course, and at 83, I'm struggling a bit. I had a mild stroke 3 or 4 years ago, and I've recovered pretty well because I go to physio every Tuesday night, so that keeps my body in trim. But no, I like caroling. It's beautiful. It's a wonderful ministry. And of course, the weather's warm. Feel sorry for you, folk.
All part of it. And when you're out carolling, does this march make an appearance most weeks? Or?
It does actually, yes. And I must admit, I never asked for it. We've got a wonderful bandmaster in Mark Hamilton. He's doing a great job. He's a fantastic bandmaster. He's a real Christian gentleman.
Well, Noel, thank you so much for joining us once again and speaking about Christmas praise. It's been delightful to hear from you and to unpack a little bit more of this well-loved march.
Thank you very much for the opportunity, Matthew. You're a wonderful man.